All right, Bills Mafia, buckle up, because we've got a story today that has the entire fan base buzzing with a mix of hope, concern, and a whole lot of nervous energy. And before we dive into it, let me remind you, this Buffalo Bills team is working every single day to improve, to sharpen every detail, to put the very best product on the field for us this season. That's the mission: constant growth and chasing greatness. If you love that commitment, if you bleed red, white, and blue, then smash that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't already, and join the conversation in the comments. Now, let's get into the big headline, because today's news is one of those stories that pulls at the heart of Bills Mafia. General Manager Brandon Beane went on WIVB's Bills Kickoff Live with Josh Reed ahead of the preseason finale against the Buccaneers. And what he shared about veteran cornerback Trey White, well, let's just say it left us with more questions than answers. Beane called it a lower leg injury. No timetable, no details. Just the hope that we'll get him back when we can. And Bills fans everywhere immediately felt that pit in their stomach. Because if there's one player who embodies toughness, resilience, and Bills' heart, it's Trey White. But we also know his history. An ACL tear in 2021, that brutal Achilles injury in 2023, and now this. White went down in practice last Thursday, needed a cart to get off the field, and since then, the speculation hasn't stopped. Is this something minor? Is it another long-term setback? Nobody outside that locker room knows for sure, but what we do know is that this couldn't come at a more critical time. Think about the timing here. The Bills are just days away from trimming the roster from 90 down to 53. We're heading into Week 1 against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, an offense that will test every weakness in your secondary. And suddenly, the biggest question on defense isn't about scheme or pass rush, it's about who's lining up opposite Christian Benford at corner. And let's not forget, first-round pick Maxwell Hairston is also battling his own injury setback. That means depth is being tested earlier than anyone expected. So, what did the Bills do in response? On Saturday, the team announced two roster moves. They signed defensive back Garnett Hollis, a young prospect out of Northwestern and West Virginia, who's had brief stints with the Titans and Packers. At just 23 years old, Hollis brings potential, versatility, and the kind of hunger you want in a roster bubble player. But let's be honest, he's not Trey White. Not yet. They also waived injured DB Wande Owens, which clears up space, but also shows just how thin things are getting in the secondary. And this is where Bills Mafia's concern deepens, because when Trey White is healthy, he's not just another starter, he's a tone setter, a leader, a guy who locks down one side of the field and rallies the locker room. 7 years in Buffalo, 82 starts, 18 interceptions, 68 passes defended, 3 sacks, over 300 tackles. That's production you simply can't replicate. And it's not just about stats. Trey White is the heartbeat of this defense. He's beloved not only in Buffalo, but across the league. Look at HBO's Hard Knocks. Trey's personality, his energy, his joy for the game. It's contagious. He's one of those rare players who makes you proud to call him a Bill, even when the cameras aren't on. That's why this news feels so heavy. Because this isn't just about X's and O's, this is about heart and leadership. Now, let's talk reality. Brandon Beane's cryptic comments could mean one of two things. Either the Bills are being cautious, keeping things close to the chest, and this is more precautionary than serious, or this is one of those situations where they simply don't know how bad it is yet, and they're preparing us for the possibility of missing Trey for an extended stretch. Bills fans, we've been here before. Thanksgiving 2021, when Trey went down against the Saints with that ACL. Week 4 of 2023, when the Achilles snapped against Miami. Both times, it was devastating. And both times, Trey fought his way back. That's who he is. But as a fan base, we also know how much it hurts to see him sidelined. The other piece of this story is timing with the season opener. September 7th, the Ravens come into Orchard Park. Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry in the backfield. It's one of the toughest tests in the AFC right out of the gate. And without Trey White, that test gets even tougher. It puts pressure on Benford, on Kaiir Elam if he's active,
on Taron Johnson, and on the pass rush to get home quickly. But here's the thing. This Buffalo Bills team is built on resiliency. Time and time again, they've faced adversity, and instead of folding, they've fought harder. Whether it's injuries, heartbreaking playoff losses, or questions from the outside world, this team has found ways to respond. And while Trey White's status is unclear, what's clear is that the rest of this defense will rally. Sean McDermott preaches next man up. Leslie Frazier built it into this defense before passing the torch. And now Bobby Babich, stepping into his first year as defensive coordinator, has a chance to prove that no matter what, this defense will fight. And Bills Mafia, we have a role here too. This is the moment where we come together. Light your Josh Allen candles, sing the shout song, send every ounce of good energy towards Trey White. Because we know how much he means to this team, and we know how badly he wants to be out there with his brothers. We've all heard the phrase, the NFL stands for not for long. It's the harsh reality of football. The average career in this league? Just 3.5 years. That's it. 3.5 years before most players are forced out by age, injuries, younger competition, or the relentless grind of the schedule. But here in Buffalo, there's something special happening. A select few veterans have beaten the odds, and defensive coordinator Bobby Babich just revealed the secret ingredient that's keeping them around. Let's start with this. Daquan Jones and Joey Bosa. Two names that carry real weight. Two players who've been in the league a combined 22 seasons, which is practically an eternity in NFL terms. Most guys drafted with them aren't even playing anymore. But here they are, still starting, still producing, still setting the tone for this Bills defense. During a recent practice, Babich noticed something that made him stop and point it out to the entire defense. Picture this. Terrell Bernard breaks up a short pass about 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. Now, normally you'd expect the linebackers or maybe a safety to react quickly to the ball. But what happened next? Both Joey Bosa and Daquan Jones, two men deep into their NFL journeys, immediately turned, sprinted downfield, and finished the play like rookies fighting to earn a roster spot. Babich couldn't help himself. He called them out in front of the entire defense. "You play in the league?" he asked. 10, Bosa replied. "DQ, how many years?" 12, Jones answered. And Babich just looked around the room. "Do I need to say anything else?"
That's it right there, Bills Mafia. That's the secret. It's not just talent, it's not just luck, it's the relentless professionalism, the refusal to take a single rep off, and the attitude that everything matters. Every snap, every drill, every play in practice. Let's break this down further because it's fascinating. Daquan Jones, at 33 years old, is the oldest player on the Bills roster. He came into the league back in 2014 as a fourth-round pick by the Tennessee Titans. Think about this. Most of the players drafted in that same round, they're long gone, retired, out of the league, or hanging on as depth pieces. Yet Jones has carved out a career that spanned 155 games anchoring defensive lines for 3 different teams. And here's the kicker. This offseason, some speculated Jones might become a salary cap casualty. After all, teams often move on from aging vets to make room for younger, cheaper players. But no, Jones is still here, still grinding, still pushing to be the leader of this defensive front. Then you've got Joey Bosa, drafted 3rd overall in 2016. At the time, the league thought Carson Wentz and Ezekiel Elliott were can't-miss superstars. But today, neither of them even has a job in the NFL. Meanwhile, Bosa is not only still playing, he's pushing for his 6th Pro Bowl selection now with the Bills. What separates them? According to Babich, it's that all-the-time thing. Everything matters. Conditioning, recovery, studying tape, giving max effort in practice, it all adds up. These guys don't just rely on natural talent. They prepare, they sacrifice, they hold themselves accountable in ways younger players are still learning. And let me tell you why this matters so much for Buffalo. Having veterans like Jones and Bosa doesn't just impact games, it impacts the entire locker room. When rookies like Javon Solomon or even younger core guys like Greg Rousseau see 2 older vets sprinting to the ball in practice, what kind of message does that send? It screams, this is the standard.
That's the culture McDermott and Babbage are pushing every single day. You want to make it in this league? You want to last longer than 3.5 years? Then you can't pick and choose when to go hard. It has to be all the time. Babbage summed it up perfectly. If you want to make it in this league, it's an all-the-time thing. Everything matters. That's wisdom right there. And it's a lesson every young Bill needs to internalize if this team is going to go the distance in 2025. Now, let's take a step back and appreciate the bigger picture here. We've seen other teams try to build by loading up on raw talent, but failing because they lack the right leaders in the locker room. Buffalo? They've got both. The Bills are balancing young, hungry athletes with proven veterans who know what it takes to survive in the NFL jungle. And that balance is critical heading into a season where expectations are sky high. Josh Allen is entering his prime. Keon Coleman is developing into a reliable weapon. Dalton Kincaid is on the verge of becoming an elite tight end. And now, on defense, you've got veterans like Bosa and Jones setting the tone alongside stars like Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. This is exactly the type of recipe a team needs to finally push past those playoff heartbreaks and bring home the Super Bowl. So here's where I'll leave it for today. Brandon Beane's update may have been cryptic, but it's clear. Trey White's future in Week 1 is in doubt. And while that's concerning, it's also an opportunity for the rest of the roster to step up and show the world that this Bills defense is bigger than one player, no matter how great he is. Now, I want to hear from you. Bills Mafia, what's your gut feeling? Do you think Trey White will be ready for Week 1, or are we bracing for a longer absence? And how much confidence do you have in Benford, Elam, and the rest of the secondary to hold it down if Trey can't go? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading every single one. And if you love this kind of coverage, if you're riding with the Bills through every high and low, then make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a story. Because this season, no matter what, we're in it together. Bills Mafia, stay strong, stay loud, and as always, go Bills.